Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store, whether that be here at Infinity Flux the store or
Infinity Flux the store.
The store, infinity-flux.the-net.
The net. It's on the net.
It is on the net. It is on the World Wide Web. You can surf to it right now. Or you're shopping at your local comic book store. We're here to give you a little bit more information about some of the stuff that is coming out this week on Wednesday, which of course is New Comic Book Day, and there's some really cool stuff coming out. But if you want any of these, they are live right now on our website at infinityflux.net. But don't tarry because they will go fast. So while supplies last, you can grab them up. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty big week of just kind of some heavy-hitting books, some new number ones, just some really exciting things. So we gotta get going with it because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So this is our our early comics review video, but this video could be our DCKO number 5 review video because I mean we could spend the whole hour talking about this one.
Or could we? Because
there's actually not a lot we can say because everything in this is a spoiler.
Yeah.
And we will not spoil it, trust me. But you can only go about 3 or 4 pages in before everything's a spoiler. So we can't say too much about what's in the actual story itself. But we can tell you what we thought about it. So this is, from Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson with art by Javi Fernandez and Hermanico, and Wes Craig does a little bit in here too. And I mean, this is the grand finale of the entire event.
It is very grand.
It is very grand. This is probably one of the most epic books that I've read in a long time, with everything that happens and the big concepts and just all the crazy things that happen.
Kind of the cosmic level stuff that we've been building up to does actually pay off.
Yes.
It does look that epic.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of action in this.
There's a lot of action, a lot of big, cosmic, explosive action, but it's not the whole book. The last few pages do deal with the aftermath of the event. Just like you might expect from a big event, we get a few little teases of things to come here and there, and there's going to be a lot to talk about when this comes out and everybody has had a chance to read it. There's going to be a lot of theory crafting and what do you think this means? What do you think that means? And trying to interpret all this stuff. I will say that one thing I will say about the ending, because there are still some people who are saying this is not a reboot. When this is over, the DC Universe has not rebooted itself. This is not a Crisis on Infinite Earths or a New 52 style reboot. The universe that existed before DCKO is the one that continues after, so we are getting some new number ones after this.
There's some status quo changes. There's this is kicking off DC Next Level.
Right.
And I would say that it's the DC Universe kind of levels up after this.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the world, but it may, change some of the characters a little bit and their in their paths and their future stories, that kind of thing.
But we are getting new number ones from, Lobo, Deathstroke, and Firestorm and all that, but we're not getting a new Superman number 1, not getting a new Batman number 1. It's nothing like that. So, if you're worried about a reboot, it's not that at all. But I don't. So I have my note here that Mark Waid in the past has used the term wedding dress events to describe some events where it's like a wedding dress. It looks nice. You use it once, you put it in a closet, and you never look at it again. Yeah. And there's a lot of comic book events that are that way. Like, well, I won't say which ones, but a lot of them are like, oh, that event's over, and now it's just business as usual.
Yeah.
This is not that. The ramifications from this will be felt throughout the DC Universe for a very long time. It's very evident in reading this. We've heard that on some of the retailer calls we've been on from DC. This will have a lasting impact on the DC Universe for a long time to come, all the way up, I think, until probably the next event, whatever that is. It's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But there will be another event at some point in the future, and whatever that's going to be will be an effect of this, right?
Yeah.
Some of this will influence that. Again, we don't know what it is. We don't know when it's coming, but it will be one day. and it will be as a result of this. So yeah, this is going to have lasting impacts. It's not going to be like, well, we're all done with that. Let's go back to business as
Yeah,
usual.
and like
Definitely
you can
not.
tell it never happened. No,
Yeah.
like uh this, and especially we're gonna see that, as stories get along, are probably gonna start building towards something else, like you said, that are kind of ramifications of
Mhm.
what happens in here and things that are set up in here. Because there are quite a few things that are set up that we won't return to for a while, but are kind of
Right.
like, oh, that's going to be big when we get back to that.
Yeah.
I would say there is, the last bit of this is, you know, uh, uh, pretty tasty in the fact of like the teases it gives, the questions it raises, some kind of secrets about the whole KO event that we didn't know while we were reading it, but there might
Oh
have been
yeah.
more to it than you realized. I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was
That
really
was really cool. Yeah.
but yeah, especially at the end, there's some stuff that is that kind of like a teaser candy that you go, oh, I want more of that. What is that? What are you
Yeah.
referring
Yeah.
to? That I think the best events do that kind of excite you while you're reading them and make you excited to keep reading.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about the books that are coming next. Like with, we've already got a chance to read the next issue of Superman.
Oh my gosh. It's so good. It's so good.
We're with Superboy Prime
Yeah.
taking over the main spot in there, which is kind of my pick of the week next to this, even though it doesn't come out this
Oh
week.
yeah.
We read it and I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah, I read that. I read it immediately following this, and it doesn't come out till well, it's this month, I think,
Yeah,
right? But I was like, yeah, this would be my pick of the week if it were coming out this week
yeah.
because it's that good.
And there is reasons for a lot of this, but it does feel like that's the end of a chapter. We're turning to the next chapter, which has ramifications from the previous chapter, but we're moving forward,
Yeah.
and that's so exciting. And yeah, I can't wait till, I don't know if maybe on our next live show or the one after that, we should like get in deep with some of the stuff from this.
Well, I think the next one is Wednesday,
Yeah,
so we wouldn't want to do it then because not a lot of. But maybe the one after that,
yeah,
we'll talk about some of the yeah, because we have a lot of theories, we have a lot of questions. We're excited about a lot of the things that may come out of this, and it's amazing. I mean, like DC has found the perfect formula for events to where they matter. They feel like they carry weight. The tie-ins feel significant, but not 100% necessary. To where if you read them, you get a bigger picture. But if you don't read them, you still get the main smaller picture. This is, I have in my notes. This is a master class in superhero comic book storytelling. Like this is how you do it, kids. This is the
yeah.
way it's done.
Yeah, especially that it doesn't reboot the universe, because some of the biggest events in DC's past are ones that did reset
Yeah.
the universe, like Crisis on Infinite Earths or
Yeah.
Infinite Crisis, that kind of thing. This manages to pull off that epic scale without having to do a reset,
Yeah.
which, like we said, it does not. It does not, and you'll kind of see when you read it. Why it doesn't do that
Yeah.
too, and I won't go into too much depth with that, but it's a really cool aspect of this. And you know the action in this is
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah, you'll see things that you've never seen before in this.
Yeah, we could go on and on
Yeah,
about
you'll
this
see you'll
issue.
see you'll see characters do things that you've never seen those characters do, and it's crazy. So definitely my pick of the week. It's amazing. Somebody asked me what I'd rate it out of 10, probably a 12. It's fantastic. But yeah, we won't say anything more because anything else would be spoilers. So we will just show variants. So there's our A cover right there. It's one of those acetate covers. A bunch of variants. This is the Daniel Warren Johnson cover. We have the Mike Del Mundo cover right there.
With him sitting in his comfy reading chair.
His comfy meteor. This is the Jerome Opeña cover. That looks really nice right there. This is Ian Bertram, the Ian Bertram cover. This is the Ben Oliver cover. We have the Dan Mora bracket cover. Is that this Dan Mora too?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Dan Mora AEW, not to be confused with the DC AEW 2-issue thing that's going on right now. And then this is the foil version of what's underneath the acetate cover right here. You can't quite see it, but Darkseid is messing up the world. And we have the 1 in 25 Mahmoud Asrar variant that we're selling for $14.99.
Yeah, this was great. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with the conclusion to this, and hopefully you're just excited to move into the next level of DC stuff after this.
And yeah, I mean, we like you said, we've read some of the next level books as well, and those are also fantastic. So DC is not slowing down after this. They're speeding up. They're full steam ahead.
Well, another big one this week is Batman issue number 7. And this is the one we've seen the teases for a long time. This is the kind of return of Joker issue. We do still have a lot of questions
Yep.
from this, but we will say this is a fantastic issue. Now, I'll say there is no action in this issue. There is no running across rooftops or anything like that. But this is just as compelling as any issue that does stuff like that. I kind of like this. We had the issue with like the Great Chase sequence issue, and then we have ones like this that don't slow down, but they kind of shift the way the action is. Because this one is more like a sparring of words, and
it's a battle of wits.
It's a battle of wits. So in this, Batman gets a call from Dr. Zeller, who has been a main player in this story arc so far, that Joker wants to speak with Batman. And Joker is being held in Arkham Tower.
Well, it's not that Dr. Zeller calls Batman, it's that an orderly who's working at Arkham Tower gets word. Which is the only reason I brought that up is because that's actually a small story point. When Batman finds that out, that clues him into something.
But he more like links up with Dr. Zeller to enter in this facility and be able to speak with Joker. But as you can see, Joker is not the kind of Joker that we're used to seeing. There's pretty significant things that have happened to him, and I think that's also some mystery behind this. So what's really fun is, I mean, they're not taking Joker being there lightly. The level of security that Batman has to go through is pretty intense, and just the facility, like how Joker's being held, is really cool. It's really fun, and is kind of an element of the issue. But Joker, the way he is, doesn't have a means of communication, as like he can't just talk, so he kind of has a thing that transcribes what he's saying. And Batman, being Batman, goes into this looking for the angle. What is Joker doing with this? One of the things, like you mentioned, is how did he reach out to me? He's confined in this facility. How did he manage to get to me? And that automatically has Batman starting to question some things. But I can't get into too much of their conversation, but you can be sure that Batman is kind of checking Joker on everything he's saying, and kind of being wary, and kind of having a rebuttal and saying, well, maybe this is your angle, or maybe you're trying to do this. But maybe something's changed in Joker. It does kind of relate to this overall story that we're telling in Batman. But it's also setting up this kind of interesting story with Joker, and has something really changed with him. At least from this issue, they make it very believable that something has happened. So you'll see it on the variant covers and everything. Like, this is Joker. I described it in the short video of basically in a Bacta tank from Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is like floating in this tank, all like hooked up to stuff. So this is, Joker is at a big disadvantage to Batman in here. And that does make a really interesting, not too often does Batman get to stand face to face with Joker and talk to him without thinking, oh, he's about to, throw some chattering teeth at me, do something.
Spray me with acid.
This is a moment that Batman doesn't get too often, and it's interesting to see how he uses it. But there is something, I don't want to get into what Joker says, because that's kind of the fun of it, but something is said eventually that does have Batman kind of stops him in his tracks.
Yeah.
That is kind of the setup for where the story is going, and I think it is super interesting. This I really like this. We've talked about this Batman run so far as it's not like uh, oh, we're reinventing things or whatever. This feels like the next chapter of Batman's life. This is a we're seeing kind of a new side of Joker. We're seeing we've kind of talked about it, a less angry version of Batman.
Yeah.
I think you even mentioned when we were talking about this on Comics from the Future that a previous Batman would have like punched through the glass
Right. Yeah.
or, done something. This is a Batman that really is more analytical. He's a little bit more mature in how he responds to things, and that kind of also ups the danger of this entire thing. So this feels like, Batman season 2 of his life, and that we're seeing some kind of growth from all the characters that I really really like.
Yeah, one thing I made note of too is that when Batman gets there to talk to Joker, Dr. Zeller, she's been working with the Joker, and she's very protective of the Joker. She's very defensive. She's like, don't step out of this path. If you do, the room is designed to incapacitate you in 10 different ways, and don't ask him this and don't ask him that. Like she's very protective of him because I guess and I wonder if that's going to go somewhere. It almost feels a little Harley Quinn, and I hope it doesn't go that route. But it's probably more like she's been working with him, and she doesn't want her work messed up. Basically,
It's very
don't
similar to
undo what I've done.
how
Yeah.
she treated Croc when
Oh,
she was
that's
there with
right.
him.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, like actually let him. And I feel like this does have some mirrors to how Batman was going in issue 1 to deal with Croc, and then realizing, whoa, this is a whole new way of
Yeah.
thinking about
I don't have to
this.
punch him in the face.
You don't have to punch him in the face,
Yeah.
and maybe that kind of set him up for this different kind of encounter with Joker, where
Yeah.
maybe something is going on here. So this was wildly entertaining, interesting, riveting to read,
Yeah.
and the back and forth.
Oh, there's also a buy this physically if you can, because there is a 4-page
Yes.
fold out that just kind of gets you inside the Joker's mind. We had a digital preview copy of this that we read about a month ago or so, and that didn't render properly in the digital version, at least the one we had. So if you buy this physically, like right in the middle of the book, there's you open the page and there's this nice double page spread, but then you can open those and it's this 4-page thing. So
And it does, story wise too, does feel like you're going in deeper
That's
to
right,
something.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really really cool.
It's almost a little bit interactive,
Yeah.
It's really neat.
So this was so good. Another top pick of the week with
Yeah.
Batman number
Yeah,
7.
I think this is my number 2 behind DCKO. Yeah.
So I think this is one of my favorite Batman runs, and we're only like 7 issues
Yeah.
in.
Oh, it's great.
But
I love it.
Every issue feels fresh
Mhm.
and kind of a new something to devour. So here is the A cover for number 7. You see a little bit of Joker there, but you see, I mean, this is a very accurate representation of what
Oh, yeah.
this issue looks like.
Mhm.
It's a little brighter in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what Joker looks like, and it is, it's a little weird. It's almost like if you go to visit someone in the hospital, and you're like, whoa, I'm not used to seeing them kind of so vulnerable and so
Yeah.
like hooked up to all these things, and you get that feeling of almost like little defensive of Joker, of like, man, he does really look like he's not doing well. We've also got this Dust in the Wind cover. Again, that's what Joker looks like in this. He does not look like this. This is the Ryan
Oh.
Sook cover. This does not happen. Batman's not punching Joker in the
Yeah.
rain, but it is a very cool cover. We also have a foil version of the A cover, which is very nice. We have a Lee Eric's International Women's Day cover with Cassandra Cain.
Don't get that confused with Batgirl number 17, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about in a little
Which
bit.
could easily be a cover for that
It
too.
really, yeah, probably should have been.
This great Jorge Jimenez, it is Jimenez, right? It's not
Yeah.
Dan Moore on this one. Jimenez corner box art variant, and this is spot foil, which
Yeah.
I much prefer. And then lastly, we have the David Aja 1 in 25 cover. We're selling for $14.99, and again, that's Joker.
Yeah, it's crazy to say, it's a Batman comic with no action, and it's still awesome. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a battle of wits instead of battle of fists. Like the conversation is intense,
Yeah.
and it's like what's going to come out of this? What happens
You
next?
have just as much Batman guarding and attacking,
Yeah.
but this time with words.
Okay, we are going to move on to Nectar #1. This is a new book from Vault. This is written by Jeremy Robinson, and the art is by Anapola Martello and Francesco Francini. And this story is set in 1837. It starts with a man in Salem, Massachusetts, who digs up a woman's body, only to have, when he opens the coffin, though, this flight of butterflies flies out of her dead, rotting corpse. And we don't know the circumstances behind that.
But we do know that it has to do with, where we get the term "saved by the bell." It's
Oh, that's right.
where they would hang a bell if someone was buried alive because of things, and he's like the graveyard keeper, and it
Oh.
rings. He's like, "Oh no, someone is still alive under there." And that's why he
Okay.
digs her up. He's not like a grave robber or anything. He works there, and that's like a important thing because if you look at the date on the tombstone, it's the same year as.
Well, because I got a bell rings and the gravekeeper wakes up and digs up, but I didn't. I knew he worked there, but I didn't. I thought he was like, oh, I'm late to dig up this body for whatever reason.
No,
I didn't
it's
know it was
that
like he thought she might be in trouble or something.
yeah, she might still be alive down there. And I thought
Oh,
I
okay.
really like that kind of cold open to
Yeah,
this.
and I think we'll learn more about that hopefully. But fast forward 3 days later to a small town on Misery Island, and everybody's going about their day there. The main character of this series is a doctor named Dr. Amos Hall. We see him treating a young patient, and then we also see these two girls walking through the woods. Everybody's just having a fine day, right? Well, both Dr. Amos and these two girls, they're in different places, but they both notice that there's these strange looking butterflies that shouldn't be there because it's past their season. Dr. Amos is a bit of a, I don't know what the term for it is, but he's a butterfly fanatic. He has a collection of
Yeah,
them.
they're like pinned to a board.
Yeah, and he knows that he's like, hey, it's past season for you to be here, little
Yeah.
guy. So they're very pretty. He says they're very luminous. So they seem really nice, but one of the butterflies lands on the girl's finger and bites her. And it looks just like a little scratch, And she's like, "Well, butterflies don't bite that. I better go see Doctor Amos to get this patched up and ask him, is this a thing I should worry about?" Um, he patches her up. Everything's fine. But then later, the two girls go to church and they're in the church and they're singing, and one of them starts dancing and the other one gets tired, sits down. Well, the girl who's dancing starts to get this worried look on her face because she's all of a sudden she can't stop dancing. And the solicitation mentions that the butterflies carry the dancing plague, and that it will send it will cause the town to descend into madness. We don't see that yet. We do see one other person have an interaction with a butterfly, but right now it just has this weird adverse effect on one girl. But yeah, over the course of this series, I mean, because it's not just one butterfly floating around. It's
There's a
whole
really great scene. It reminds me a little bit of in Fellowship of the Ring where they're like, oh, there's when they're out there and they're like, oh, something's moving. Oh, it's just a bit of cloud. And
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's moving against the wind.
yeah.
Like this is, these butterflies are could become quickly like kind of a infestation
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, so over the course of this series, and again, like the solicitation mentioned, the town is going to descend into madness because of these butterflies. We don't really see that in this issue, but it's one of those where it seems like it's. Well, I won't say that. I won't spoil that. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. This is the latest indie book to blow up on the secondary market. Whoever is snatching up all the copies, please read it because the
Yeah.
story is actually more interesting than however much it's available for on eBay. Like, it's a good story, and I think it's only going to get creepier and creepier from there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this quite a bit. It made me really want to read the next issue, especially with how this one ended. And I want to see. I love stories about people or places descending into madness because it's a little bit of a slow burn.
Yeah, and it's a very like you said, it's an island.
Yeah.
So it's very contained
Right,
to
right.
this, and so you learn a little bit of your cast of characters
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah, I thought this was really really good, and I mentioned to you earlier, this was such an easy read.
Yes.
Like I don't even remember how text heavy it was because it just kind of flowed. and it was super easy just to fall into this story and
Yeah.
get caught up in it. So this is one of my favorite kind of indie number ones I've read in a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, great book. So yeah, definitely check it out if you can find a copy, I guess.
Yeah,
One thing real quick, we are not going to have this on our website,
yeah,
just because with books like this, we have people trying to get multiple copies all at once. So this won't be available on the website. You can get it in store, but we wanted to go ahead and talk about it anyway, just in case you're watching and you shop somewhere else. We thought
mhm.
you still might want to know what the book is about. But yeah, it's a great story. That's our A cover, and that is the only one we have.
Yeah, but if you pre-ordered it, you've got it in your box
Yes.
waiting for you. I know I've got a variant of it in my box. I'm really
Yep.
excited to check out. And yeah, I'm sure they will do a second
Oh
printing.
yeah.
All of these books that have blown up are doing second printings, and I think that's what's most important is the story.
Yeah.
Read the story, because that is,
That's where the fun is.
that's where the fun
Yeah.
is. Home is where the heart is. Next up, we have Star Wars Shadow of Maul #1. This is kind of our only Star Wars book coming out right now, at least from Marvel. And this one's really good. This is by Benjamin Percy and Matabek Musabekov. And this is a prequel to the upcoming Maul show on Disney Plus by like the same team that brought you Bad Batch and all of that. I really like this. And I got to preface this by saying don't expect a whole lot of Darth Maul in this. I was pretty surprised at how little he does appear. He does appear, but not till late and not very much because we really want to focus in this on our new main character named Brander Lawson, and he is going to play a part in the show as well. So I think this is a good early introduction to him. So when you start the show, you kind of already know your cast of characters. He's a captain in the police. This takes place post Revenge of the Sith, before A New Hope. So this is kind of that like early days of the Empire taking over that like 20-year span. Um, but Brendan is a officer and he's being questioned at a police HQ by another fellow officer because Brander was on a mission with two other officers and something happened to them. One died and one went missing, and they're kind of digging deep into what happened there. And so most of this issue is a flashback to that. So we find out what happened and we see that he was on a mission, kind of a little bit undercover, not like in disguise or whatever, but keeping a low profile because there is kind of a cantina bar that is a front for illegal creature trade. And these are like big creatures. They're poisonous. They even talk to him about like, oh, are you interested in one of the ones where you can like distill its venom and make certain things out of it? But he's here to kind of find out details about that and shut it down. Um, but it seems like someone gave him away that he was going to be there, and it erupts into action. He has to call in his partner, which is a droid named Two Boots, who's kind of a security droid that's really fun. But most of this issue is him getting a new team of characters and trying to figure out who was kind of the mole that let this place know that they were investigating him, and kind of deals with a lot of the crime syndicates of this planet they're all in, called Janix, and what ties do they have with some of the other stuff going on. But this is, for the most part, kind of a standalone issue
Hmm.
with him investigating this thing. But we do see that there is a new player coming to the planet, and you can probably guess who that is. At this time, Maul is a crime lord. He's given up the kind of Darth title, and he is a leader of a crime syndicate. We saw that in Solo: A Star Wars Story, where he appeared in the end of that, and this is going to kind of explore that era of him, where he's kind of shrugged off the Jedi and the Sith and all of that, and is gonna kind of make something of himself. So this was really really fun. It's got the first appearances of a couple of new characters we know are going to be in the show. It's got a great tone. I like these kind of Star Wars underbelly stories. They're not Jedi. They're not anything like this. They're just you know mortal people who are in a lot of danger, and how do they get themselves out of it. So highly recommend Star Wars Maul Shadow or Star Wars Shadow of Maul #1. I think this is like maybe a 5-issue miniseries leading up till the show that comes out. I think in May. I'm not positive, but usually they launch them around May 4th. So there is your A cover for that, and we've got a couple of covers for this. We have this Aka variant, and that's not an incentive. They just did a kind of a virgin cover for that one. And then we also have this Casa Grande International Women's Day variant with a lot of really cool characters. I got this one as well. And I think we're sold out of some of the other covers already, but if you pre-ordered them, you got them.
Yeah. That's why you should need to pre-order everything.
Just to be safe, pre-order everything.
Right. All right, so we have the X-Men annual for this year. As all annuals are, this is just a one and done story. This is written by Ryan Stegman. The art is by Steve Scrose, Sanford Green, and Ryan Stegman does a little bit in here too. And in this one, Jean Grey returns to Earth. It's been a while since we've seen Jean Grey. She had her own series for a while. She was off in space, but now she comes back to Earth because she says that she was detecting a distressed psychic signal. And almost immediately after that, and she actually meets up with, I guess you would say, the Uncanny X-Men, the ones that are down in Louisiana,
Yeah.
Rogue and Gambit, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, all those guys. And almost immediately after she comes back and talks to the X-Men about why she's there, this giant monster, kind of like this, emerges from a portal. But initially, it looks like line art from a comic book. As
Yeah.
it's coming through the portal, it looks like line art, and
It's
then
kind of sketchy pencil lines.
yeah, and then as it gets in, as it makes its way through the portal, it starts to look more real like this. So Jean psychically tracks the monster's creation. She gets in the monster's mind, which then, she's able to sort of like follow some breadcrumbs to get into the mind of the person who created it, who is a mutant named the Creationist, who has the power to manifest anything that he can imagine. And the Creationist, when I read the solicitation, I was like, oh, this is some big new supervillain. The Creationist is just a guy. It's just a guy who has this mutant power, who actually went to Xavier's school for a while, but then quit because he felt like he couldn't really, control his powers. He couldn't really do anything cool with them. Because he has the mutant power to manifest anything that he can imagine, but in his words, he has no creativity whatsoever, so he can't really imagine anything to create. So, what he does is he actually kind of sort of kidnaps two different artists and to draw what he tells them to draw, and then he manifests that. And then that's where like everything comes from. This issue gets quite a bit meta because the artists in this book that he's keeping captive, they look very familiar. You'll recognize their names, as you see them. And then so basically the X-Men have to deal with the monsters over here, while Jean Grey and Wolverine go over here to deal with the Creationists, try to cut all this off at the source. So yeah, it's very meta. Like I said, the monsters look like line art. There's some familiar looking artists in this. It's pretty neat it feels like a story. I'm not real familiar with Ryan Stegman's writing. I don't know that he's written a lot, but it feels like something he would write.
Yeah, I think he has written a couple of little things.
Did he write? No, that was Donny Cates that did Vanish, and he did the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think maybe he's done other stories kind of like this, like
Yeah.
a little one-shot stories where he's
Yeah.
worked with an artist.
Yeah, but it just feels like something that
he's very familiar with.
Right,
Intimately familiar with.
So yeah, a fun, just one and done X-Men story. You don't have to know anything about anything. You don't have to be reading Uncanny X-Men. You don't have to have read Phoenix. Nothing like that whatsoever. You can just pick this up and read it, beginning, middle, and end, and get a cool X-Men story. So that is our A cover, and that is the only cover we have.
Well, next up, I actually have... Now, I misspoke before. I call this a facsimile. It's actually not a facsimile. I just flipped through it to double check. This is Marvel Team Up number 14. Usually facsimiles contain all the ads and everything.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the ads. This pretty much has no ads in it, except for one for the new Invincible Versus game coming up.
Okay.
So this is really cool that, I know part of it's fun seeing those old ads, but also it's also fun not getting any ads in your book.
Right.
So this is the classic team up from, I can't remember, I'm sure I've misspoken what year this came out. I believe it
Is it
is.
2005?
That's what I originally thought. Uh, but I don't see like originally published.
I'm on it.
Um, but so it was still during the early days of Invincible when this originally came out. I believe it was I looked at it before. It's around the issue 20s, something like that. And this is the classic Invincible meets Spider-Man issue. They adapted it in the show with Agent Spider and their kind of Doctor Octopus type character.
November 2nd, 2005 is when the
Okay.
original one came out.
So it is a very like early stages of Invincible issue. But this is really fun, and the only way you could have gotten this before is if you had the original copy, or if you got one of the Battle Beast #1 blind bags, where some of them had a foil edition of this in there. But that was a blind bag, so if you got a few and you didn't get that, you weren't able to get it. This is the first time you're able to actually just buy this issue standalone, not a blind bag, anything like that. I highly recommend this issue. It's always surprising when this is able to be printed because it is not in the regular trade paperbacks. It's only been collected in certain ones because of that joint licensing thing. This is actually when it originally came out was a Marvel issue.
Yeah.
This one is published by Image, but the original one is a Marvel issue. It's really, really fun. You don't only have Spider-Man in here, you have some of the Avengers. And this canonically actually happens where you can read the issue where he comes out of this and he has webs stuck to his back when he comes out of a portal. And it's like, oh, that's the adventure that went on in there. Highly recommend picking this up. It's a lot of fun. Even if you haven't read all of Invincible, this happens early on enough. If you've just watched the show, you will completely know what's going on. It's just great to see these characters together. I loved Marvel Team Up as a series by Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker, who worked on a lot of this series. There's a lot of really good issues of that if you go back and find them, but this is kind of the standout issue for that. So we've got our A cover here, which is like the original A cover. I think the colors are a little bit different. I'm not sure, but there's your A cover. Here's the other kind of key thing about this is they got a lot of Invincible. Well, there's only been 2 Invincible artists, but Invincible and Spider-Man artists to contribute variant covers. So we have the Ryan Ottley cover, who has both worked on Invincible and Amazing Spider-Man. So that's kind of your most accurate cover for people who've worked on those, which I did pre-order that one. This is your Eric Larson cover, another classic Spider-Man artist. Very cool seeing that one there. I also pre-ordered this one. We have the Mark Bagley cover. Really cool. It's kind of I love seeing Mark Bagley Spider-Man because it always kind of feels like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like going home.
Yeah.
You know?
But cool to see him draw Invincible there. We have this, and I always mispronounce his name. You say Suvic?
Alex Saviuk.
Saviuk.
Yeah.
Cover, another Spider-Man artist. This time with Doc Ock on there. And here is the big one.
Yep.
This is the one that is gonna go fast. This is the Todd McFarlane cover. I wish I had done a little research, or if I could have, to find when's the last time Todd McFarlane drew Spider-Man for a published comic,
Right.
Or on a cover, because it's been a very long time. Once you're head of Image, you don't really work on other people's characters. Yeah. So you've got this classic looking Spider-Man with Invincible in the background.
That's one I pre-ordered. Yeah, a new Spider-Man from Tom McFarlane. Plus, Invincible looks great too. So.
Yeah, so this one is really cool. This one is going to sell very, very well. And lastly, you do have the blank sketch cover. These are also going to do really well because you don't get a whole lot of Marvel team up sketch covers,
right.
And especially this one with Spider-Man and Invincible listed on it, so that one's gonna sell really well.
Oh yeah, too. You could draw even though it has the Image logo, you could draw all kinds of Marvel team ups.
Yeah,
you know, because it is an issue of Marvel team. That is so weird. It's Marvel team up, but this time it's published by Image. The last time it was published by Yeah, that is interesting. But I'm glad that they were able to work that out.
Let's get a new Image team up book. I want that just all in. You know, we got some Invincible and Savage Dragon or Battle Beast with any of those people that Battle Beast has been teaming up with on the
Yeah,
covers.
yeah. All right, so I've got Poison Ivy number 42. This is just like Batman number 7. You know, well, you know, DCKO is over as of this week, and now we've got some books that are the first books that are post DCKO. So in this one, this is the start of a new story arc where Poison Ivy is now the mayor of Gotham City. I actually went back and you know, looked at issue number 41 and maybe a couple more to see if this was a thing that they've been talking about. I don't think so. Like, I think that, and if you've been reading Poison Ivy, I have not, but if you've been reading it, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, like, it hasn't been mentioned before, and then now all of a sudden she is the mayor of Gotham City. But I think there's a story there that we're gonna find out as this storyline goes along, because there's mention that maybe she didn't win it fairly. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's some things there that, because it's not like when this issue starts, she's already mayor. So
Yeah.
you don't see her like campaigning or
Yeah,
anything.
you don't see the election.
Yeah,
or
so
anything.
maybe there's some story about how it happened and why it happened and that kind of thing that we'll learn later on. Um, her first order of business is to tell Police Commissioner Vandal Savage, which is still crazy, to scale back the Gotham City PD on the streets and to stand down his army of goons that we've seen him deploy in the streets in the pages of Matt Fraction's Batman. So this has a little bit of connective tissue with that.
Which it's great seeing her put Vandal Savage in
Oh
his
yeah,
place.
yeah.
That
Stand up
is
straight.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. So she also tells the city council that she is bringing in some of her own people to head up some of the local government departments. Some of those characters I didn't recognize, but if you have been reading Poison Ivy, I think you will recognize them. There's a couple like Janet from HR still in here, and I think the flower-headed guy was from. I think I read that one.
Yeah.
But there's another guy who I think popped up just in the last few issues. So if you've been reading Poison Ivy, no worries. If you haven't been reading Poison Ivy, you can read this, and it probably will make you want to go back and catch up, like I want to do now. So, and the city council is not very happy that she's basically just kind of running roughshod over everything. She's like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. She's not really concerned with processes and, you know, red tape. She just wants to make these things happen. You know, she wants to make Gotham City, what is it, like carbon free in 2 years, like very.
Heaven help you if you litter in
Oh
her
yeah,
city.
yeah.
That is like the worst crime
Yeah.
you can do it in her Gotham.
Yeah, she wants to make it very eco-friendly in a couple of years, that kind of thing. So it seems like she does have Gotham's best interest at heart. However, she's not completely in control. She is feeling pressure from someone or something that I won't talk about. But also, if you have been reading Poison Ivy, I think you will know this a little bit better than what I do. I wasn't quite sure what that was. I'm not really sure what this story arc, where this is going to go, but we do know that later on this year we are getting a new Batman like crossover story that does involve Poison Ivy. It's Seeds of something. I don't remember what the title of it
Yeah,
is.
she's on the cover like with her suit,
Yeah.
green suit and everything. Which I love that. Like, I really want to see what Batman thinks about Poison
Yeah.
Ivy, because she's not, necessarily like a horrible person. But
Yeah.
Batman's gonna be watching her to
Yeah.
be like waiting for her to slip up, and I think it's gonna be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean there has to be some overlap at some point. She's the mayor of Gotham, and Batman in Gotham. So yeah, not really sure where this first story arc is going to go, but I'm definitely going to read it just to see like what do you do? Like, it's a story about a supervillain who's a mayor. What do you do with that? I'm sure they'll find something cool to do. But yeah, so yeah, new story arc in Poison Ivy. There's the A cover right there. We got some nice variants because, of course, this is Poison Ivy. This is the Kyung Eom cover. We have the Nubovich cover. This is the Vincent Carbonilla cover. We have the symbol variant, which I guess is just leaves.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy. And then we have this really nice Jorge Jimenez corner box spot foil variant cover.
Well, much in the same vein, we have Batgirl number 17. Again, this does say at the top, Well, it says the curse of the blood starts here, but this is like,
And they all have that trade dress too. You can see at the top of that one too.
yeah, it's kind of the like jumping on point
Yeah.
thing post DCKO. It does say in some of the solicitations that some of this is from the fallout of DCKO. I don't know if it's a one for one thing.
Yeah,
It's
neither one of these are. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of a hey, let's get back into the action
Yeah.
and start our next kind of season of these books. Now, this one's really interesting because Batgirl has returned to Gotham, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. And she's kind of in the city, getting kind of reacquainted with everything. She's on the phone with Stephanie Brown when she kind of inexplicably vomits up like these tendrils.
I mean,
It
it
kind of
looks like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's horrifying for her. Um, when she realizes that that's her own blood, but kind of becoming these um, vines, really.
It's very Venom symbiote kind
It is
of.
very Venom symbiote. Uh, but they start attacking her. They start like, wrapping around her neck. She's still on the phone with Stephanie. She's trying to kind of communicate that something's going wrong. But she, quickly is, because this is her blood, she's also losing a lot of strength and kind of, the blood flow to her brain and all of that. But uh, she does maybe have an idea of at least something very similar to this that she's going to look into, and that is because there is another character um, called the Blood Master that she's aware of that she is going to go find that seems to have these very similar powers, but that's going to require her. She teams up with some friends. If you've been reading the series, you know who they are. Um, to scale this tower, and the Blood Master is kind of a crime related character, but with powers, and she has to scale this building. Um, and the powers start kind of working in her favor as she gets attacked by some of the goons that are along the way. But we soon learn that maybe this has ties to Cassandra Cain's family
Hmm.
in ways that we didn't know, and I will be interested to hear about that because we know quite a bit about her, at least her backstory and everything. So this is kind of unearthing a new part of the Cassandra Cain backstory. So yes, I think you could jump onto this one. You could read it and you would understand the story. You may wonder, who are some of these other characters here? What has she been doing, until this point? But again, like with Poison Ivy, this could make you want to go back and
Yeah.
read all
Plus, this
these.
is only number 17. I think there's already 2 trades out with another
Yeah.
one coming soon, so it would be easy to go back and catch up. And I do recommend. I mean, we were reading it at the beginning. It was really cool. It's a simple story,
Hmm.
tons of action. I did fall off after a while, but this made me want to go back and catch up to see who all these characters are that I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of fun, a lot of action, a lot of really cool panelization of her like going
Yeah.
through the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
building,
There.
and all of that is really really fun. And I'm really interested to see like, okay, how long are these weird powers gonna last? Great, this almost looks like a number one cover if they launched a new Batgirl series. But there is your A cover. We also have a Eom variant. We have a logo variant. And I love this one. This is, of course,
Oh, yeah.
the corner box spot foil variant.
All right, we've got Absolute Superman number 17. This is the final part of this story arc. It was a 3-issue story arc with Juan Ferreira doing the pencils, and so this is the last issue of that story. And in this one, Superman and Hawkman, they take on Parasite. I mean, it's this cover is actually pretty representative of
Yeah.
what happens in the book. Superman and Hawkman take on Parasite, but Parasite has grown like to the size of the city and has basically absorbed every living thing in Metropolis, people, animals, all that kind of
He's
stuff.
kind of a big amoeba version
Yeah.
of Parasite. He looks
Yeah.
really cool.
So Hawkman just like wants to straight up kill Parasite, but Superman fears that killing it will kill everyone that it's connected to. So of course, he wants to find a different way so he can try to save everybody. Hawkman insists that that won't work, and that leads them into another confrontation with each other. And then, yeah, so you'll have to read it to see if they're able to stop it, and if so, how do they do it, that kind of thing. I like this issue because it shows how hopeful this Superman is becoming in this much darker world, but also how much of a badass he can be if he's pushed too far. He has some great moments, not only fighting Hawkman, but Hawkman gets in his face, and maybe he gets back in Hawkman's face. He has a very stern message for Hawkman and maybe the people he's working for. So, yeah, just a cool, great artwork, action-packed issue. Um, the last couple of pages are pretty disturbing, and I can't wait to see where that goes.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. Like, we like this version of Hawkman. We want to see him again. So yeah, just a really cool issue. A new story arc starts next issue, but this was a cool little three part little deal here.
Yeah, I like this one because it's kind of the first time you see something that could be a very traditional Superman story of Superman versus Parasite, but kind of what does the absolute version of that look like? You get that here. So it's familiar yet with kind of a different coat of paint on it, and I thought that was a really cool. It's not super tied in with the big absolute stuff going on. It's more of like what we would get as a traditional Superman story in this universe, and that's really cool. I love the design of Parasite in this. I love that they kind of went into the absolute stuff of like, what can you all peel away from these characters, but what has to remain?
Yeah.
You see that here of what is at the core of Superman, and that is kind of that part of like, this isn't a Superman devoid of hope and empathy and all of that. That's still there.
Yeah.
And this is a great showcase for that.
Yep. So this is our A cover, and that's actually the only one we have.
Yeah, another great issue. Next up, we have a really exciting one from me because I'm a big Mike Mignola fan. This is Lands Unknown, The Skinless Man, #1. This is a new mini-series set within the Lands Unknown universe, which is Mike Mignola's new universe outside of the Hellboy universe. This is kind of a new place for him to stretch his legs, create new characters, create new mythologies. We were originally introduced to this in Bowling for Corpses, which was a hardcover graphic novel full of kind of the backstory of this world, some origin stories. We met some characters. It's a very, I would say, almost a mix of like Conan, but maybe a little bit more medieval stuff involved in that. It's a cool, fresh world to go into that has some familiar tropes, but also that Mignola touch to everything. Now, this one isn't by Mike Mignola. This is by Ben Steinbeck, who has worked with him a lot on some Hellboy-related properties, but Steinbeck does the art and the writing on this. And it begins with a traveler, a bearded traveler who is actually riding on a giant wolf. And he has a little pet, I think it's a little pet squirrel with him, that they are going up this mountain, but it's a heavy storm, and they do find that there is a house in the distance that the traveler says, "Oh, that's a witch's house, but I could more easily defeat a witch than I could a storm, so maybe we'll try checking this out, and it might not be too bad." So he goes in, and much of the way these kind of very traditional, almost fairy tale stories go, the witch is like, I don't really have to eat you or anything, but how about a story while, you sit here in the storm? And she tells the story of the Skinless Man. That is your character on the cover here, who kind of works with pirates. We get kind of not a vague backstory, but we don't know a whole lot of information about him. We just know that his ultimate goal is to find some skin. And he walks around looking very skinless and stuff.
Pretty understandable goal for a skinless man.
Yeah.
I want to find some skin.
But they, after pirating and doing all this stuff, they find something that he's like, hey, that skin would be pretty good. But how is he? Maybe it's not right for him unless he prepares it correctly by going through some trials and stuff. I won't give away where he finds the skin or what all that's about. It is very...
Hopefully it's not off of that little baby there. That's creepy.
Well, that's why I'm not going to mention it.
Okay.
But the Skinless Man is not a hero. He is a pretty scary, messed up guy. But it is a very... the way Mignola tells stories, it's partially is a story, partially feels like you're being read or like a bedtime story or a fairy tale with symbology and repetition of things that he has to do. Um, and I thought it was really cool with a kind of a little twist at the end because this is a mini series. Maybe there's more to this traveler who's being told the story than what we know. But this is a great first issue. Very, very fun. So if you like stuff like Hellboy, Conan, this more like mythological style stories, you'll really like this. There is your A cover. That's what your interior looks like. It looks great. We also have some variants for this, or at least one variant that I really, really like, and this is the one I got, which is the Mike Mignola cover.
Mm.
So you've got the witch down there, you've got the skinless man. Very, very cool.
All right, we have a new book from Image. This is called Narco. I believe this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries, maybe. This is written by Doug Wagner. The art is by Daniel Hilliard, and it's about this young man on the cover here. His name is Marcus, and he has this rare form of narcolepsy that causes him to pass out when he gets too excited. So he wears a smartwatch to monitor his heart rate, and he wears like a soft hat. Like when he goes out with his friends, he doesn't wear a helmet, but it's like a soft that has the flaps on the side and in the back, like,
Mm.
one of those kinds of things. Well, he wears one of those just in case he does collapse and pass out. His head's protected. He's also a little bit of a conspiracy theorist who posts theories and stuff on his blog, and it's nothing crazy like QAnon stuff or flat Earth stuff. It's nothing like that. It mostly deals with like serial killers. Like he thinks that there's a secret serial killer out there who is mimicking other serial killers'
Mm.
patterns, and when that serial killer gets caught, then this one mimics another one's patterns. So he thinks that there's another one out there that nobody knows about. It's things like that. Well, so that's him in a nutshell. But he also has a crush on a girl named Jess who lives in the apartment next door to him, and she actually likes him pretty well too. But she is having some trouble with her ex-boyfriend who keeps coming by and harassing her. So one night, Jess invites Marcus over for dinner, and he's getting ready, and he's really excited. But as he's getting ready, he hears Jess screaming because they live next door to each other. He hears her screaming, and he runs to the door to go out to help her, but his door is jammed. He can't get out. There's something's wrong with it. So he looks through the peephole, and he sees Jess getting murdered, but he can't see who is doing it. That is not a spoiler, by the way. That's in the solicitation. That's the point of the whole
Mm.
story. Is that's what this story is centered around. Is her getting murdered. Well, him seeing this and not being able to do it, that ramps up his heart rate and he passes out. And then, according to the solicitation, he is going to become suspect number one, and he is going to have to find out who this killer is himself. And also keep his temperament in check, right?
Mm.
So that he doesn't pass out in the wrong place and that kind of thing. So this was a really cool murder mystery. There's actually one panel where we see, and it's kind of it's almost like a little throwaway panel where we actually see somebody leave a comment on one of his blog posts that makes it seem like maybe this goes deeper than just a typical story of a jealous ex-boyfriend, that kind of thing. So there might be more to this than what it seems. But yeah, I mean, I really like the artwork. It's a quick read. It's a simple story, and I mean that in a good way. It's not overly complex. It's just a murder mystery, and this guy's gonna have to figure out who murdered the girl that he likes. And it was cute too because they had this nice little like flirtatious relationship. It wasn't like he was awkward and she was like standoffish. No, they liked each
Mm.
other, and I guess it's not going to work out for him. But yeah, a cool story. So check it out if you're looking out for a cool new, simple but fun story to read. I do recommend it. That is our A cover, and that's the only one we have.
Well, next up, we do have another Absolute book this week. This is Absolute Flash number 12. And this kind of caps off year one of this Absolute Flash. So I can't get into too much of it because it is a finale to this, but we do have Wally facing off against Thawne, uh, this monstrous version of Thrawn. Thawne, not Thrawn.
Yeah.
He fights Grand Admiral
Right.
Thrawn. But thankfully, with the help of the rogues and Wally's father. But it's not going to end great for some of the characters. There is a couple of epilogues in this. I think two epilogues that show maybe some stuff that is setting up some future stuff. Like where do the rogues go next? And the second one is very interesting with another character that we've had in the series so far, but we can kind of see where they may mirror a regular DC Universe version of themselves. So really, really cool, and it does say like end of year one, and it does feel like kind of this was the equivalent of like a Batman year one or whatever for this
Okay,
Absolute
yeah.
Flash. You know, he kind of came into his own, kind of owned his powers by the end. And next up, he's going to be doing some really cool stuff. We know he's going to check out Star Labs in a future issue, which will be really cool because there's some ties there with maybe Absolute Green Arrow that we know we're getting that series. I don't know if they're going to be related in this universe, but
Yeah.
it does say that he finds something in Star Labs, and
Well,
yeah,
Star Lab, are you thinking Star City?
yeah. But is the Star Labs in Star City?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think Star Labs is in Metropolis, at least in the main universe.
oh,
I think
well,
I'm not sure.
well. It'll be interesting to see,
Yeah.
nonetheless. But this was a really good end to this first year of the story, first 12 issues, and as I feel like with this one, it did have some highs and lows.
Hmm.
The lows weren't super low, but they were kind of this didn't have quite the like 1-2 punch of like Absolute Wonder Woman or Absolute Batman or Absolute Superman. But now seeing this 12 issues as a full
Yeah.
story, I do really get the like, oh, this was to kind of show Wally from start to becoming the Flash that we know.
Yeah, I got to get caught up. I'm a few issues behind.
Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. There is your A cover with Wally fighting Fawn. We also have a couple of variant covers for this one. So we have a Lyrics cover. We have a Gilliam March cover. And I really like this one. This one's super cool. This is the Carlo Pagulayan cover with Flash.
Well, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 23, which is part 2 of Death Spiral. We got the one-shot issue last week that kind of kicked off the whole thing. And in this one, Peter is trying to patch things up with Aunt May, now that he's back from space. It doesn't really go as smoothly as he had hoped. She still loves him, but she's kind of has some stern messages for him that, you blew me off, and that really kind of hurt, although she doesn't know why. But so he's kind of bummed about that, and it doesn't help things that he has to cut things short with Aunt May because he sees Venom and Lady Ock fighting right outside her window. So he has to make up another excuse, go become Spider-Man, go out there and deal with that. It's interesting because this is the first time that the real Peter Parker has had any interaction with Venom since Venom and Mary Jane bonded together, right? They haven't.
No, they were. I don't know if they had any interaction. That happened like before Peter went to space. They even bring that up that like she was hiding that from him for a little while.
Well, but I don't think Spider-Man has met up with Venom because
But I don't think he's met up with her. She just did not tell him when she
yeah,
became Venom.
but because in this Spider-Man still thinks that Venom is Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
Like he's like in comic reader terms, he's like 2 years behind, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he's way far behind. So, this is the issue where he finds out that Mary Jane is Venom. So finally we get that. That's not a spoiler. Those pages have been released already.
And he learns kind of like uh how Ben Riley
Yeah.
treated
Yeah.
her before when she thought that there's a lot of like misunderstanding at first
Yeah.
about who was who and
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
yeah. They do have a nice conversation, and everybody kind of gets on the same page. Which finally, it always drives me crazy when one person thinks that another person said something, and then that person thinks that this person is mad because of something else. Like they're finally
Something a conversation could
yeah,
clearly
they're
fix.
finally squared up now, right? And that's pretty much it. We do see a little bit more of Torment. We still don't really know who he is, what his deal is, that kind of thing. Venom number 255 comes out next week, which is part 3 of Death Spiral. The cover of that issue shows a dead body laying on the floor and Spider-Man and Venom kind of looking over it. Well, we do learn who that dead body is in this issue. So I won't tell you who it is, but we do learn the identity of that body on the cover to the next part. But yeah, so just part two of Death Spiral. So if you are trying to get them all, don't miss this one. That's our A cover there. We have this Ibon Coelho Shocker variant. This is one of the connecting variants. We have this Mark Bagley variant, also with the Shocker. We have this Taran Clark variant. This unfortunately does not happen. We all wish it would, but this does not happen in the
That's
book.
a
Oh, that's an incentive. That's a 1 in 25. Sorry, that we're selling for $19.99. We have this beautiful Ivan Talavera. This is the 1 in 50. We're selling for $64.99. I think I pre-ordered the regular version of this. And then we have this 1 in 100 Liber Mayho. Is that right? Oh my gosh. We're selling this one for $124.99.
Yeah,
I'm going to treat that one carefully.
That one with
scary.
them kissing, that's what we hope is in both of their minds when they meet up.
Yeah.
We do know, is it in a Venom issue or a Spider-Man issue coming up where they're walking on a bridge together?
I
know it's
believe,
like this is the issue where they kind of lay it all out.
I think that's Venom because I think Carlos Gomez is the artist on that.
That issue I'm really excited for. I hope it's not a disappointment because this is a interaction that could make or break a lot.
Yeah, right.
So we'll have to see. Because this one, when they have the interaction, it's kind of like we don't have a lot of time to get into too much of it. We could just kind of briefly explain what's been going on. Well, next up, I've got a new Marvel #1. This is Moonstar #1 by Ashley Allen and Eduardo Audino. In this one, so I was looking forward to reading this one. I'll say I had a little bit of a harder time understanding this because it spins off of something I'm not quite sure what it was. Was it maybe New Mutants or something? But this is pretty much verbatim the opening, description in the first page. After the fall of Krakoa, Moonstar found purpose in the Society of Eternal Dawn, a mystical organization devoted to preventing disasters. When she realized the group's corrupt ambitions, Danny and Magic brought their leader down, along with the headquarters. Now Danny is at a crossroads, unsure of her next chapter. I don't know where that happened.
Yeah, I don't.
So I feel a little bit like I kind of came into a party halfway through it, and I was like, oh, okay.
And it said that was after Krakoa, right?
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure where that took place. But so I was coming into this a little bit confused about kind of status quo. We do see that Danny heads back home with her family and her parents and all of that. Until one night some strangers show up on the front steps and they are members. They are the society's exemplars, who I guess are from that society, from what I'm not sure what they were in. But they show up and basically say, hey, remember I had this fancy sword? It got stolen and we need you to help us find it. Now, I didn't mention that there is kind of a cold open about the history of this sword, which did kind of, I got into it. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But this series, or at least this first issue, kind of leans more into the Valkyrie aspect of Danny and her, her Pegasus horse and all of that. So it references stuff like that happened in Mortal Thor and some other books that I hadn't read. So I did, I really like the art in this. I will say that I was a little bit kind of on my back foot trying to figure my way out through wait, should I know this or should I not know this yet? But if you have been reading stuff that has Danny Moonstar in it, maybe you'll be better prepared for coming into this. But it does seem like I kind of get what her mission's gonna be. I just don't know a lot about, she's teamed up with those two members of the society, and I already am like, but I thought they were bad.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite sure there, but it does seem like a lot of fun. It's pretty text heavy, but there's a lot of exposition about kind of the current status quo, where she is, where her mind is after all of this. So I think this is for maybe a little bit more X-Men heads, you know, if
Yeah.
you've been reading all of X-Men, you'll have an easier time coming to this. I don't know if it's super new reader friendly unless you're just very familiar with this character and her backstory. I'm kind of like in the middle of like I know her time in like X-Force and where she appears in some stuff, but not 100% caught up on her status quo. But hopefully going forward, we got all that out of the way and we'll be moving on with this story of looking for this sword and what it means and all of that. So, yeah. First one I had a little bit of difficult with, but you may, you know, your mileage may vary for that. We've got our A cover here, which is really nice. I did really like the art in here. I thought it was a lot of fun. We have, where did I put the, oh, here we go. We have a Sue variant. She's reading Daredevil #1.
Nice, lucky.
Well, she works for Marvel. She got an early
Yeah.
copy.
We gotta wait another month for that.
We've got a Martin cover. We've got this really nice Sway variant, excuse me. And we have this 1 in 25 Joel Jones variant. We're selling for $24.99.
Well, just real quick, I can't say much about it, but this is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring #6. This is the final issue of this second volume of Beneath the Trees. If you read the last issue, you know that it ended on a very crazy note, and this issue is very crazy as well, because to help her escape, Sam triggers several explosions all around Woodbrook, which just causes chaos, right? She's just trying to cause distractions here and there. There's more fire and chaos than the local police. I'm sorry, the local police and fire department can handle, and she's going to use that to cover up her escape. Does this lead into another volume or not? I don't know. I can't say. You'll have to read it to find out. But yeah, just wanted to let you know that the final issue of Beneath the Trees is out this week. I do hope we get more, and I guess we'll have to see if we do.
Do we see Lex Luthor show up, or so we see the other side of the crossover with DCKO?
Oh no, I
okay.
wish. Yeah, it'd be funny if like Lex is like stuck on her world or something.
Just in the background, you see Lex
Yeah.
Luthor like creeping through the woods.
Oh man, that'd be great. But yeah, final issue, so don't miss it if you got all the other ones. So there's our A cover there. We got some cool variants for this one too. This is the Tony Fleeks movie homage variant. This is the Beals Dr. Seuss variant. This is the 1 in 10 Horvath variant. This is the virgin version of the A cover there. We're selling that one for $9.99. We have the black and white of the this is the black and white version of the Fleeks variant. This is a 1 in 25. We're selling that one for $14.99. And then we have the virgin version of the Beals cover. This is a 1 in 50, and we are selling this one for $29.99.
And I have a new book from Mad Cave. This is Exploit #1. This is by Tim Leong, Laura Hudson, and Emiliana Pina. And this one was interesting. So this is about a girl named Kirby. She is kind of a not a budding journalist. It seems like she's had jobs before, but she really wants to work for this magazine called Riot. And she starts with her running late to the kind of pitch. She's going to pitch a story to them, and of course she gets the place. She's a little late, but it's kind of okay. But it gave me Devil Wears Prada vibes, where the
Yeah.
head of the magazine is kind of like, nope, don't want to hear that. Nope, don't. As people are pitching the stories, but she gets up and she does her pitch, and she says she wants to find and interview a man named Dane the Hacker. I think it's Dane. But my thing, Dade the Hacker. It autocorrected to Dave. Dade the Hacker, which he is known for trolling billionaires and exposing zero-day exploits in corporate software. But all previous pitches about him, they've turned down because they're like, it doesn't matter. You can't find him. You can't talk to him. So it's kind of like it'd be more of like your opinion, and that's not going to sell. And so she's basically turned down for that. But while she's there, the head of the magazine gets a call and basically says, hey, guess what? Your magazine just got bought out by this big tech AI bro, basically, who's going to, is like, basically like, I'm going to fire most of you, keep a couple of you on, and just pump out garbage content. Um, but uh, there's something where they're basically like, hey, but we do still have one issue coming out. Everyone go as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Do the most hard hitting article you can think of. We're gonna go out swinging basically with our magazine. And so Kirby decides to kind of dig deeper into this one article she wants to do and meets up with a very mysterious character who gives her a flash drive that might expose not only, everything going on, but even maybe the company that is buying their magazine and, blow the story wide open. But we'll have to keep reading to learn exactly how all this is going to go down. There's no like magic element or really sci-fi
Right.
element to this. There's no, kind of X Factor thing. This is about a journalist kind of blowing wide a big story and taking down some pretty big people. I did really like the art. This type of story is not my favorite kind of story. I do like a little bit of a extra pizzazz thrown on top of sci-fi or fantasy or superhero or something. This is more of a a hard hitting story about journalism, which is great. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea, but I really like the art, and I did think the story was really interesting. So if you think that is something you might like, you'll definitely want to check it out. It's very well done. There is your A cover, and then we also have this fish
Hmm.
variant cover.
Okay.
Who was gonna knock that down? It was me this time.
Let's see. It is time to enter our Speed Force round. This is where we tell you about a few more books that are coming out this week. We go through them pretty quickly. We don't show any variants or anything like that, but you can check the website to see if there are any variants for these. The one I'm going to start with is Iceman Omega. This is just a one shot that collects several of the Marvel Infinity digital comics. It collects the Marvel Holiday Special, Iceman's New Year's Resolution, the Marvel Voices Iceman number 1 through 4 Infinity comic, a story from Marvel Voices 2020 and 2021. All these stories are from back during the Krakoan era, so that's how old these are. But they all were originally just digital stories, and now they've been collected into one big book.
Yeah, it's an oversized. How much is it?
Oh yeah, it is oversized. It's a $6.99, but it's oversized. It's got a bunch of different stories in it.
Yeah. Okay, first up for me, I have Disney Villains Gaston #1. This is by Greg Pak and Fred Van Lent with art by Melina Cicerello. I gotta say, I really like this. I really like the Ursula book from last week. I told you before this started, I was like, these are kind of a breath of fresh air because I go into these and it doesn't have the like the weight of like big continuity of DC or Marvel or anything like that. It doesn't have the complexity of like Image #1 or whatever. These are just really fun. The art is well done. You're kind of like your straight to video sequels to a lot of the Disney movies back in the day, like uh, Aladdin and the Prince of Thieves and Return of Jafar and all those really fun ones. It has that feel. This one spotlighting Gaston as he goes around and boasts of being the greatest tracker in France until a soldier shows up. All the girls start swooning over this soldier, and Gaston goes through some stuff to try to make himself seem better, but that's going to throw him in some pretty hot water later on. And some magic and mischief might happen as well. So this was really fun. I enjoyed it. These aren't for everybody, but if you kind of want something a little bit different, less heavy, more whimsical, and like your classic Disney movies, check these out.
I've got Bloodland #2 from Ignition Press, and this is the story where the U.S. government has basically made a pact with a group of vampires to run the country the way they want to. I don't have any notes on this one. I did read it, but this whole issue is basically just different groups of people talking to other groups of people, and it doesn't really seem like it pushes the story forward too much, although we do meet another group of vampires who seem very scary. But yeah, I just want to let you know, if you got the first one and enjoyed it, the second issue is out this week.
Next up, I've got Wolverine #17. This is actually kind of a standalone issue. It does still take place. Wolverine is kind of it goes over the course of time as he is spending time with these new Morlocks and getting kind of up close and cuddly with Silver Sable
Mm-hmm.
while they're there. But one of those new Morlocks goes missing, and it's up to Wolverine to track them down. But what he finds is pretty horrifying, and a new antagonist for him to face off against. But this is leading up to, it seems like, another run-in with the adamantine character that was teased as coming back in the previous issue.
Yeah.
But this was a fun, just kind of one-shot story with great art, and Wolverine doing what he does best.
Hooking up with Silver Sable.
Yep.
This is X-Men number 26. I am enjoying the heck out of this mainline X-Men series. I think it's fantastic, and this is part one of a new story arc called Danger Room. And this one, Sheriff Robbins, who is the mayor of the little town that up in Alaska that the X-Men live around, she goes missing, and so the X-Men get called in to help find her. And they actually do find her, but it's a little bit too easy. They find her a little bit too easily, and we all know what happens when a rescue mission is a little bit too easy. Usually, that doesn't mean such great things. Some great action there. It's going to lead into a cool story arc. Plus, Glob starts selling vegetables to the locals. He has his own little vegetable stand at the local market. It's just really cute. That's kind of off to the side. But yeah, I love this X-Men series. Like it's really good. I think it's been good from the jump. There's been a couple of issues that weren't such my taste, but this has been really cool, and this is another one.
Just real quick, I want to mention that the Beauty number 4 is out. I'm still really enjoying this issue. Fantastic Manuela Lupacchio art in this, and it looks like they're kind of setting up where the next issue we're going to get a lot of answers about the Beauty and kind of its origins and all of that. So if you're reading the Beauty, don't miss this issue. It's really good.
And I have Avengers number 36. This is the final issue of this run of Avengers. And in this one, Carol Danvers goes around talking to each one of the Avengers individually about stepping down as Avengers chairperson and dissolving the team as it exists currently. And the Avengers say their final, they're all like, "Oh, I understand, that makes sense," and that kind of thing. The Avengers say their final goodbyes to the Impossible City and to the Twilight Court, and we probably won't know anything about what's next for the Avengers until after this Armageddon event this summer is over. We do know that does feature a group of heroes. I don't know if they'll be called the Avengers, but this is it. I think this is it for an Avengers group of Avengers or an Avengers comic for a while until we get to Armageddon and find out what's next.
Well, we got to check back in with Youngblood and what's going on there.
We don't have to.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Yep.
There's a big time jump. There is some, the heroes are on their back foot trying to deal with these destroyers of worlds that have appeared. It's very weird. It's a very drastic change from the previous issue about what's going on now. The Youngblood universe will never be the same. Still don't exactly know what's going on, but yep, that is Youngblood issue number 4.
And real quick, we want to start showcasing some collected editions that come out each week. There's not that many this week, but we do want to talk about Absolute Superman Volume 2. This is the trade paperback. We also have a couple copies of the hardcover as well, and this collects Absolute Superman number 7 through 14. So if you're trade waiting this, this comes out this week, and this has some cool, this has the final battle of Kansas. Superman going up against the Lazarus Corporation. Tons of action in this. Some great artwork. So yeah, if you're waiting to catch up on Absolute Superman, you can do it with this.
Real quick, I did want to mention that Cult of the Lamb Last Sacrament Special number 1 is out. This is the final part of these series of one-shots that are telling this Cult of the Lamb story. So if you're a fan of the game, you've been reading the comics, don't miss out on this because it hasn't been a series. It's been a series of one-shots with all their own name and all of that. So if you read the previous ones, make sure you get this one.
I didn't know you still had that one. I guess I jumped the gun on
You jumped the gun.
My bad.
But I want to mention a trade. We have Nightwing Leaping into the Light. This is the Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo cover, or the series in the DC compact format. This is a great way to read this for only $9.99. This collects. It doesn't say immediately on the back.
Really?
It's a lot.
I mean, it's the beginning of their arc, which I think was like issue 70 something or 80 something, 86.
This is Nightwing 78 through 83, 87 through 91, and Superman Son of Kal-El number 9.
Dang, that's a lot of good Nightwing stuff for only $10.
Yeah, so this is really great. I love DC's doing these. They are so new reader friendly. They're also like, hey, I like that. I want to get a copy of that and for a good price. Just really cool. Can't wait to see all the ones DC's going to continue to do, but don't miss out on that because these also do sell out really fast. And that is it for our early comics review video. Thank you so much for watching. Head over to infinityflux.net right now. While supplies last, you can order these books because they are live. Make sure to check out the variants. There's other stuff we didn't talk about that is coming out this week that is just as cool. A lot of exciting stuff, so you can do that right now at infinityflux.net. Stay tuned for our video coming up on Wednesday where we do our top comics to pre-order in a flash. We'll be talking about books that you can pre-order by this coming weekend. Some really cool ones on there. I've already started to kind of glance at that, and we're just in a great time for comics. Every week there's something really exciting to talk about, so don't miss out on checking out that show as well. I think we're planning to have our next live video on Wednesday night, so be here for that right here on YouTube or wherever you're watching it. We try to stream out to all of the stuff. But with all that being said, until next time, see ya.